I think we should start with Tony. Tony's been on something for a while, animal related. Okay. We want to get the definitive answer from Ron Magill.
All
right.
Which animal would make the greatest game show host?
No.
I think we've done that one already.
We can get there. We can get there.
Okay. Ron, I was invited to your 7 a.m. basketball games at.
Really?
I haven't gone yet, but I will. If you're going to play this Saturday, let me know. I'll be there.
I will be there this Saturday.
Then I will be there as well.
Now, I'm 62 years old.
That's
guys.
fine. I remember you playing at 50. At 52, maybe 51, and you were still killing people with the hook shot, so don't worry about it.
Well, I'm not killing people with anything anymore. I'm there strictly for rebounds, maybe a little defense. If I can make it up and down the court, I try, but I'm always behind everybody else because most of those guys are all in their 20s, 30s, some in their 40s, but I'm the old man out there. So please have mercy on me.
I will. I'll be there on Saturday morning.
All right, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes,
Ryan,
sir.
are you saying you do the little things? You just grab boards. You don't score anymore. You're blocking shots, grabbing boards, setting screens, doing all the little things to help a team win, right?
Exactly. Stugotz, when you get to be my age, you learn it's not necessarily as much about your physical skill as it is your knowledge of positioning. It's all about position when you're my age.
Yeah.
Ron, at your height, is it easy for you to dunk, or does it still take an effort?
I don't know if I can dunk anymore. I used to be able to do a 360 dunk. I think I have a video of myself doing a 360 dunk.
Wow.
But I
did one yesterday. I mean, a couple of dunkers cutting it up. How about that?
Yeah, right. On your kid's 6-foot basket in the backyard. I understand. Okay. The bottom line is, I don't even try to dunk anymore. I'm happy to just touch the rim. But again, it's all, I try to be like, remember Paul Silas? You guys are old enough. Paul Silas. The guy was, I think, 6'4", one of the greatest rebounders of all time. And it was all about his knowledge of positioning and boxing. That's what you got to learn.
What animal would be the greatest rebounder of all time?
Oh, giraffe. Well, that's a no-brainer.
Wow.
No brainer. Come on. Give me something more difficult.
Really? Just because you're basing that on height, though. Charles Barkley was 6'2".
Of course. Do you remember John Wooden? What was his quote? You can't coach height.
Giraffe's got no arms, though. How's he going to grab the ball?
That's a good point.
Guys,
great question.
You're talking about, he grab it with his mouth because this is a fictional giraffe. Okay?
How does he
it's
dribble?
A fictional character. We're going with size.
No, we're talking about real life, though.
Yeah, this is life, Ron.
Oh, we're talking about real life, so we're going to ask what animal would be the greatest rebounder?
Yeah.
Okay, then it would probably be a lion, tiger, bear, because everybody else would get the hell out of the lane, wouldn't they?
Good point.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
answer.
And a giraffe would have trouble with the outlet pass,
Right.
Yeah.
The ball would hit him on the head.
All right, guys, let's stop all the craziness, okay? Ron, somos primo, okay? So I want to know something, and I want you just to verify what I'm saying, okay? Because this is something that's been highly debated throughout the last couple of weeks here on the show. I have it on excellent authority that the U.S. government cannot stop you from taking ducks at the pond. The regular duck that's black with the green and the red eyes, they can't stop you from taking them. True or not true?
What do you mean taking them? Like
taking them home? No. Like taking them home and having them as a pet. They can't stop you from taking them.
They cannot stop you because those ducks are basically non-native ducks.
Yes.
So you can take any non-native duck you want as long as you treat it humanely.
So ducks are free?
Wait,
So I was right. Thank you. Okay.
you can take ducks?
That's
Ducks
right.
are just free.
That's right.
Yes, you
Thank
can
you,
take ducks
All
as long as
ducks?
you treat them humanely.
Yep.
Not all ducks. The ducks he described, the Muscovy ducks, the non-native ducks, any non-native animal you can take. Try to keep it as a pet. I don't suggest that. As a matter of fact, I encourage that you do not do that. But there is no law that protects those non-native animals except the law that says you must treat them humanely. That's it.
So I could just take any animal from the zoo because it's non-native?
This guy doesn't get it, Ron.
Oh,
This
no,
guy doesn't get it.
There are protected animals. If it's an endangered species, if it's a threatened species, it's protected under the Endangered Species Act. If it's a migratory bird, that's protected under the Migratory Bird Act. You can't take any birds of prey. Birds of prey are all protected under a law. But ducks, non-native ducks, yes, you can take them.
Why wouldn't ducks make for a good pet?
Yeah.
Like why are you discouraging us from taking them?
I'm discouraging you from taking any kind of exotic animal as a pet because there are millions of dogs and cats in shelters that are looking for good homes that would make a much better pet.
And cats suck also.
Ron, they
That's
tried
evil. You
to
wanting
dissuade
a
me,
conversation
Ron.
in your house.
Ron, they tried to tell me that I was an idiot. So here's where this emanated from, Ron.
I didn't say that.
So we were at a very high-level DraftKings meeting, right? And it was before. It was lunchtime, and we were just kind of hanging out. I was having lunch. I was rapping with the boys, right? So I go and tell Billy, hey, Billy, I have it on good authority that if you take the regular ducks from your pond out in Westchester, that you can take them home. The government can't stop you. He laughed at me, Ron, like if I said the funniest joke in the world. What I didn't know is 2 seats over, a very high-level executive at DraftKings was eavesdropping on the conversation, also laughed, probably thinking I was an idiot. But guess what? I'm going to send him this tape.
Send it to him, because the fact is you can take any non-native duck that you want out of the environment as long as you treat it humanely.
God.
Can I take a mallard?
No, mallards are migratory. You
No,
can't.
mallards are migratory birds, native
Tony,
birds.
look
But
at
the
you.
Muscovy ducks,
you guys.
you can take.
Can I eat a Muscovy duck?
Ooh,
Because
great
that's
question.
a delicacy.
Sounds
You
delicious.
certainly, the reason why Muscovy ducks are here is because the Spaniards brought them in a couple of hundred years ago to breed them for food. Unfortunately, they're kind of like garbage disposals, and they don't make really good quality food.
Mm.
What's the best non-native animal that you can take that would be delicious?
What's the best non-native animal that you can take that would make good food?
Yeah.
Iguanas.
Wow.
Wow.
They're good.
Oh yeah. And in Panama, they farm them. They're farmed for food. And with the right preparation, a little sal y pimienta, oh baby, they're good. Little limon.
Why do you hate iguanas? You were telling us a couple weeks
I
ago to
don't
hit
hate
them with our
iguanas.
cars.
Guys,
Now you're saying to eat
asking me
them.
questions. I don't hate iguanas.
They're invasive,
okay?
though, right?
I don't. They are an invasive species. They're doing damage to the environment. And you know what? I don't hate cows either, but I do eat steak.
So you can just take cats, you can take ducks, you can take iguanas. No one's gonna ask you any questions.
No. Yeah, you can take cats. You can't kill cats. Because they are a domesticated animal that you have to be humane with. So let's not put cats.
I didn't say
in the
kill.
same-
I said take.
Take. Yes, you can take cats. You can take cats out of the environment. You might piss off somebody who owns that cat and say, well, that's my pet and I'm letting it loose. And then you can argue with them, well, you shouldn't be letting your freaking cat run loose.
Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Ron, there's a 500-pound black bear named Hank
Hank the Tank.
Yes.
Hank the Tank, baby, yes.
Ransacking homes in California. And
Yeah.
if a 500-pound bear is in my home, what am I allowed to do to get rid of it safely? If I tase a 500-pound bear, will it even affect him?
I wouldn't try to tase a 500-pound bear. What I would do, what I have prophesized on this show for many times, is I would keep a fair distance, but get yourself big as possible and scream, "Hey bear! Hey bear!" like that. Okay, and hope that bear has an exit route because it will probably leave. I've
No
seen Hank the
chance.
Tank.
There's
Hank
no
the Tank
chance.
has
No
been
ability.
Chance you're doing that right inside your house. A 500-pound bear. You're gonna stand up and say, "Hey bear!" No way.
I would. I mean, I would try to keep like a couch or something between me and the bear, but I would be putting up a "Hey bear!" and screaming, and get that bear out of there. Most likely he would go. Now Hank is a fat bear, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
out of shape, right?
He's way out of shape. He's been doing this for a while. He's been hitting the Krispy Kremes in those refrigerators in those homes, hitting the garbage cans. That is not a healthy weight bear. They're going to have to either, hopefully put him in a sanctuary someplace because he has now developed this habit. I hope they don't end up euthanizing. I think trying to relocate him to another place is just going to delay an eventual problem of him coming back to human habitation because these are opportunistic feeders, man. And why is he going to go out and hunt when he can go to the buffet at your house?
Have you ever had a fat, out of shape animal at the zoo and you've had to put them on a diet?
Absolutely. All the time we have to worry about that. That's why these animals go through these physicals, because what happens is here at the zoo, they don't have to go out and hunt. They don't have to be in the best shape to hunt and get their food. So they tend to get a little lazy sometimes. So we've got to monitor their weight all the time. We have a full-time nutritionist on staff that is actually counting the calories that these animals get to make sure they stay at their optimum weight.
Are animal taste buds similar to ours? Like, for example, my dog loves peanut butter. Is my dog tasting peanut butter the same way that I am tasting and experiencing peanut butter?
I think animals certainly have taste buds that are similar to ours in the sense that they can get addicted to junk food. We see, bears, for instance. Hank is getting into the ice cream. He's getting into the donuts. He's getting into the cookies. Sugar is an addictive quality in foods, and animals can get addicted to that very quickly. There's certain addictive qualities in certain foods that animals are drawn to.
Can animals be lactose intolerant like Stugotz?
I believe they probably could be. Yes, absolutely.
Can
I
they
didn't know that
Lactaid?
about you, Stugotz. Thanks for the information.
Yeah. There's a pill for that, Ron.
Yeah, well.
What was your follow-up, Jessica?
I mean, can they take Lactaid? Like if Hank needs a Lactaid before he gets into the ice cream, is that something that would be cool for a bear to eat?
Well, Hank will probably eat anything you present to him, but getting him on a regimen of doing that on a regular basis might be a bit of a challenge.
How rare is it for a bear not to fear human beings? How does that happen? And you say don't euthanize the bear, but wrangling him is going to be very hard, right? I'm assuming they'd like to find him and sedate him, but you can't have a bear in the habit of breaking into homes.
I agree, Dan. And this problem probably started because this was a fed bear. Okay, people were feeding this bear, whether it be in a park, whether it be in a neighborhood. People were feeding this bear, and they say, "Oh, look how cute the bear! He's so cute. He's eating the food." And he turns into Hank the Tank, and he starts ransacking everybody's home because he's thinking this is fun. Okay, that's why there's an old saying that says a fed bear is a dead bear, because a lot of times these bears do end up getting euthanized. Wow. So what we want to do is we want to make. Hopefully, there are certain sanctuaries that sometimes have room to take these bears and use them as kind of ambassadors as to why you shouldn't be feeding bears. But unfortunately for Hank, it may be the only solution they have may be to euthanize him, which would be tragic because it wasn't Hank's fault that he got into the Twinkies.
I feel like I could outrun Fat Hank.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Greg.
Greg can.
He's a big bear.
Could you outrun anything?
Yes, I'm fast.
Ron, why don't you save Hank? Why don't you bring him to the zoo?
We don't have a space for him here. That's the problem. We don't have a space for him here.
Ron, we have a musical coming out, and I would like to know if you were to build a vocal group like the Temptations, from falsetto to baritone.
Great question.
What animals would you go with?
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Great
Well,
one.
my bass would be the elephants. They just had right. My high pitched would be the white-cheeked lemur. Try to Google that sound. It cuts to it. It's like that Mariah Carey note, okay, that they hit. It's absolutely incredible. For my, the middle tones, I would go. I think I would go with a mockingbird because their tones are so beautiful. They can fluctuate their tones so well. Maybe even an orapendula bird. They can make sounds like they're swallowing water while they're singing. It's beautiful. So I would go with the elephant as the bass. I would go with the white-cheeked gibbon as my high-pitched, and I would go with the orapendula and the mockingbird for the main lead singers.
You are someone who does dare to do a recreation of the animal sounds. You wouldn't with any other than no. I'm not. You don't have to do it, but do you have the confidence to make us understand what it sounds like? A bird that is drowning, or a bird that's gargling, or?
No, I can't do it. It's such a phenomenal sound. Stugotz can Google it. He Googles all that stuff. It's just like a. Sounds like they're singing and drinking at the same time.
Nailed it.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Damn good.
Some listeners have been asking us to ask you about a claim that Shaquille O'Neal has made that you are said to have corroborated, which is, and I don't remember you telling this story on this show, that gorillas go crazy when they see Shaq.
It is true. Shaq is a friend. He comes to the zoo a lot, and he came to the zoo and he wanted to go see the gorillas. And, our male gorillas look at Shaq and right away they get as big as they can. Their hair stands up. They're kind of agitated by him. And Shaq looks right back at them and gets as big, which is pretty freaking big, bigger than any gorilla. And he gives them the look, and, they eventually back down. They go to the other end of the habitat. So he kind of wins in that, they initially stand up and challenge him, but he stands up, instead of turning and running, he stands up there and makes himself look pretty large, and they go away. He does intimidate them.
Great.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
You have seen that how many times? Because you and Shaq go back, and he always tries to buy your tigers and turtles, and you don't let him.
Shaq and I go back from when they won in 2006. He was a good friend back. He did something I'll never forget. I'll forever be indebted to him for. When they won the championship, the media went up to him and they said, "Hey, Shaq, you just won the NBA championship. What are you going to do next?" And everybody's expecting him to say, "I'm going to Disney World." And he went, "I'm going to Miami Metro Zoo." And he texted me right after. He goes, "Listen to the news tonight. I did you a favor." And it was so true, man. It went viral. The fact that he said he was going to the zoo, He's always been very good to me here and at the zoo. And, he loves animals. We got in a big rift because he wanted to buy a tiger. And he wanted me to take care of his tiger. He offered me a profound amount of money. "Oh, I'll get the tiger. You just got to take care. I'll pay you." No, I just got to have a tiger. He went to LSU. He has this thing about having tigers. And I called him an idiot. I said, "Well, you want to be like Mike Tyson?" And then he didn't say anything. He looked at me and goes, "Oh, yeah, forget about it." That was it.
He's going to keep trying. He's been trying. He just hasn't been able to get one yet.
What's the most amount of money he's offered you for a tiger? Can you share that with us?
He didn't tell me any specific amounts. He just told me, I'll pay you. Whatever it costs, I'll pay you. I want to have a tiger. You can take care of it. This is when he lived in a big house on Star Island. I said, first of all, you're not going to be able to put a tiger on Star Island, Shaq. No, I can do it. I know people. I can do it.
What would, I mean, obviously, like ethically, you wouldn't give someone a tiger, but what does a tiger cost?
I don't know what the price tag is on a tiger. It's probably not as much as you would think, but like you said, you have to have permits. You have to be permitted, and that's just one of the dumbest things you could ever think of doing. Okay, tigers are not pets. They're not ornaments to serve as mascots in your yard for your freaking university or anything else. That's something that people need to understand. And I told Shaq to his face, I go, "You're an idiot if you think you want to have a tiger." To his credit. Oh, why you got to talk to me like that? I said, because you don't want to be like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is a tiger. You want to be like that? Never mind. Okay.
Over under 100 grand.
Under.
Wow.
Bargain.
Wow.
You guys are.
But you would mark it up on Shaq, right? Because he's offering.
Price gouging a tiger.
Ron. No, and you should have heard him asking whether all he cares about is the money angle on any story. He was asking Whittingham whether or not he thinks that Shaq was charged by Ron when he did come to when he came to the zoo the next day. He's always just looking for the angle where he can take $20 from somebody.
Did you charge him?
Yeah, I didn't charge him a penny. No, I would never charge Shaq. He is responsible for tens of thousands of dollars coming to the endowment.
Ron, just one last time. Can you just say it and everybody can clear out? Just say ducks are free. Can you just say that for me?
Okay. Muscovy ducks, any non-native duck in your habitat, you can take without any penalty by any law as long as you treat it humanely.
Congratulations, Tony. Enough with the victory lap. Ducks, this trash.
He needed Ron saying that cleanly so he could send it along to executives.
How many times has he said it already? Thank you, Ron. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good week. Take care.
Thank you, Ron.
Been wanting to talk to this guy for a long time, a pillar in a lot of different ways who has represented that league very strongly. I was shocked once during the Super Bowl, one time, and it's when a Bengal early in that game got around him. I'm like, what the hell happened there? There was something went terribly wrong. I'm not used to anybody getting around this human being. So congratulations, you are a champion at 40 years old. It was great to hear the video of you mic'd up, just really spreading a whole lot of love. You've arrived in a place, haven't you, Andrew, where you can be profoundly grateful for how hard what you just did is, because you were climbing toward it your entire life, and finally here at 40 years old, you arrived there. It was so nice to hear the gratitude with which you were out loud loving up your teammates.
Yeah, it's gotten really special. It's a point where, to some of them, I'm a big brother. I mean, some of them I'm getting close to being an uncle. So it's one of those things that this family and the group we have this season, we said all year was really special. And I think you see some of that in these mic'd ups, is just how connected and how much we really appreciate and care for one another. And for me, it's just watching some of these young guys grow up and become who they have. And I mean, a guy like Kupp, just watching his career. I got to the Rams his rookie season, and watching just his progression as a human being and a football player. Aaron Donald, all those guys. It's just it's really special. And a guy like Rob Havenstein, who I've gotten a chance to mentor and be there for throughout the years, the ups and downs of playing tackle in the NFL. It's not easy, and it's a position that's only talked about when you're messing up. And so it's one of those things, just to share some of those special moments. That's so cool.
Jonathan Ogden, it was said of him that he could block holding a cup of coffee in his hand without spilling a drop. Who are the guys, without allowing a sack or spilling a drop, who are the guys, Whitworth, that you look at and say, that's the Mount Rushmore of what we do? Those are the guys no one could get around.
I think really when you look at offensive tackle play, there's a lot of really elite ones over each generation of time, really, that you'd say, hey, this kind of era of football at this time, this guy was one of them. I mean, obviously a guy who was my mentor in Cincinnati and a great man, and Anthony Munoz was really at his time, really the pillar of the position, and really was the first kind of, probably I would say, truly athletic kind of freak of nature left tackle in the NFL, really started to change that position with athleticism that he had. And then you look through that, I mean, after that, it's all those names, Jonathan Ogden, Orlando Pace, mentor of mine when I got to Cincinnati, and Willie Anderson. There's a lot of really good ones. And then really early in my career, Joe Thomas was a tremendous football player. Jason Peters, unbelievable player. Tyron Smith and Trent Williams have been really good. There's a lot of really good ones. But, honestly, our position is one of those things that exposure is the big deal. There's some guys that have played in harder systems, some guys that have played in easier. And, it's really the test of time and the consistency over a long period of time that really tells you about the ones that are really, really special. And to your point about the cup of coffee, my O-line coach in college used to say, sometimes when he watched me pass pro, he said, I sometimes just visualize you smoking a cigarette while you're playing. That's how it kind of seems. It's almost like you're just smoking a cigarette and playing football at the same time.
Well, how often, Trent Williams told us this story about Chandler Jones. How often has one of those guys given you the ultimate respect of, I'm just going to the other side. Knock it off, Whitworth. I don't enjoy getting stuck in your belly button anymore. It's annoying how big you are. You shouldn't move like that. Fuck off.
I've had some of those moments in my career, and those are always cool. I mean, I remember facing Terrell Suggs for 11 years, and then, there'd be times where certain games he would just go play on the other side for a while. And I always just, thought that was one of those ultimate respect things. It's kind of one of those things they won't tell you, but they'll just kind of do it in the game. Chandler the same way throughout our time here. He's played over on the other side a lot at times. And so it's one of those things that, they're looking for their best matchup. And sometimes if you're giving them the day that they just don't want, they decide, hey, you know what, if I got an easier matchup on the other side, or I feel more confident over there, that's where I'm going to go. And to me, it's like they'll never admit it or say it. But when the moment comes and in a game, you kind of get that feeling like, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. Just that they are kind of somewhat tapping out.
What's it like to be older than your head coach? It's ridiculous.
It's been wild. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, though. I mean, him and I have had a very unique, special relationship since we really, signed as a Ram and our development together here. It's been so cool, so special. I couldn't love or care for a guy more. I mean, we have a very tight friendship, and it's been fun to kind of do this thing together and to watch him grow. And I remind him all the time just what a tremendous leader he's become. And it's been special to be a part of, and I'm excited to continue to see him to do it.
Pro Football Focus, because we have some trouble measuring these things, said that Trent Williams just had the best offensive season. He should be the most valuable player. Does someone of your pedigree, can you even allow yourself at 40 years old to say Trent Williams at this point is better than I am? Are you seeing something there that we're not seeing about his excellence that you can explain it to us? Or do you never make that concession, not even at 40 years old?
Well, I think the tough part that would take longer than we can spend today is that with Pro Football Focus, I think that obviously Trent had a tremendous season. He played unbelievably well. I think the one thing that if I was going to say that's tremendous about Pro Football Focus is it does bring light to good O-linemen, and it shows you the difference in guys that perform really well and put out performances that you're like, all right, this is showing me over a consistency of time, not necessarily the numbers, but how this guy performs in pass blocking, how he performs in run blocking, and where he kind of ranks with the other guys at his position if somebody's following him. Now, the problem is that I would say, and it's pretty easy to prove, is that there's a big kind of discrepancy. And if you're a team that runs the ball a lot and what kind of run you run, that your grade is dramatically different. So you could be a team where you pass the ball a ton. What people don't understand is in pass protection by PFF standards, there is no such thing as a positive grade. You either block a guy or you don't. In run blocking, you can go from -2 to +2. So technically, if you ran the ball more than you pass it, you automatically have a higher grade.
Oh, Whitworth, I know what you're saying. Whitworth, what you're saying there is this McVay, this clown, throwing the ball so much. Go ahead and put me in the Niners offense and see me maul people.
Across the league, the scores are distorted. You might see a guy where you're like, wait a minute, I know this guy's a better player here than this guy, but why do they have a different grade? And the reality is when they run the ball more or a team has success in a game running the football, they're all going to score higher no matter what. But you might go out, perfect example, NFC Championship. We threw it 45 times to win the game, and it's what we needed to do. You're not going to have tremendous scores because you threw the ball so much. That's just the reality as an O-lineman. You're going to probably score a really good game somewhere in the 70s to 80s. And that's where those discrepancies can kind of get in there. But that's why people, when they're like, well, man, Trent scored 97 something, whatever, and Tyron Smith, who had a tremendous year as well, was only 92 or 91. What's the difference? Well, there's not really that much difference. It's just really kind of the style of offense they played in that really led to the difference in the score.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, in the community that is an NFL locker room, what makes you feel the oldest? Do other guys kid about your age?
Well, there must be stuff happening daily, right? There must be stuff you're noticing. You're like,
that's a long list. We'd be here for a long time, right? The way I get out of the hot tub compared to the 22-year-old getting out of the hot tub is different. I mean, it's quite a challenge. But no, it's, you know what, there's all kinds of things. I get, jokes, and then I also get a lot of respect. I mean, I'd say more than I get the jokes, I get a young guy come up and go, man, like, how is it possible? Like, I know how I feel at 23. I got no idea how I'd ever do this at 40. Like, just explain it to me, And so, like, we'll talk about stuff like that. And so I get more things that I would say are admiration than joking. But, yeah, I mean, there's always – McVay probably the most is going to always throw the jabs at me about being old because he knows he can.
But
that's all right.
You must have a story, though. Excuse me. Forgive me, Andrew. You must have something happening around you in the locker room where you realize my teammates are young enough sometimes to be my children. Like, they're doing stuff that is the behavior
of plenty of that. Some of it I can describe and some of it I can't. But it usually involves their social media accounts or what they're into that I just have no idea what they're talking about. And sometimes they get into conversations that it's like they're speaking another language because I got no idea what's important to them and what they're into and those things. And I just try to keep up the best I can, give a nod or a smile and act like I understand. But, it's definitely one of those things I have felt over the last probably really 4 to 5 years. Really, when I hit 35 to 40 here, it's been the biggest, like, whoa, okay, now I'm 15 years, 16 years removed from what some of these kids, their era of college and what things are like. And it's wild. I blow them all the way with things like, well, we couldn't text message when I was in high school. That didn't happen until I was in college, or Facebook didn't come about to my rookie year in the NFL, or, and it was like, what?
Yeah, you dinosaur.
Like, Facebook's old news. They're like, Facebook's old. I'm like, yeah, well, it didn't even exist when I was in college. So.
How did you talk to your high school friends?
AOL, baby, hit that dial-up. Yeah. Mom, Dad, you on the phone?
Yes.
Can I dial it up real quick?
You mummy.
Instant Messenger.
You fossil. Instant Messenger. Look at Stugotz, how happy. Look at how happy Stugotz is. He's like,
oh, man. You're just waiting on that little doop. Hey, ooh, who is it?
Who picked up the phone and got me offline?
Come on.
When the question is asked, Andrew, well, how? They're asking you, how at 40 physically? How? What is the answer?
Honestly, it's a mixture of a ton of things. I mean, obviously, taking care of your body and doing the things. I think for me, I really got some great advice when I was a young player. Willie Anderson, who was a mentor of mine and was a finalist for the Hall of Fame this year, didn't quite get in. But, he was a mentor of mine. And he would kind of talk to me about what Ogden and Pace and all these guys, when he got to see them at Pro Bowls and things, kind of put on him and what his focus was about really learning how as a big guy and somebody that's, when you're already kind of at that point where you have strength, you have athleticism, you're a really big dude, learning how to not beat yourself up, but learn how to take care of yourself and how to feel good and understand how much it's more important that you can still move good, you still have good, balance, and you're taking care of your joints more so than a lot of guys just beat themselves up in the weight room. And so for me, I started really a path after about my 5th or 6th year to progress that way. Like, hey, I'm going to have limited amounts in the season that I'm actually lifting weight. So I really only truly, and when I say lifting weights, like heavy amounts of weight, I only did that when it was football time. So like when it was football season or training camp or OTAs, when we're together, that's the only time I would lift. And then outside of that, it was more about fitness stuff, staying in shape, boxing, cardio, MMA stuff. A lot of things where I'm either on my back doing cardio and core and stuff like that, or on a bike, or some kind of taking pressure off of my body, a lot of jiu-jitsu, stuff like that, where I'm training and staying in really, really good shape and moving my body a ton and physically exerting myself, but not necessarily loading my body with my joints being compressed and stuff like that. And so I thought that was a massive part. I mean, I've been a huge yoga guy my whole career. I love hot yoga. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And so all of that, to me, really the combination helped me sustain my body. And then obviously I had to be blessed to not have the significant injuries and some of those things. And so for me to get out of this and have never had an actual knee surgery, would be a pretty crazy scenario, and it's pretty wild to think you can play 240 games and I'll probably end up, hurting my knee skiing down a slope or something at some point like an idiot. You never know how it goes.
Have you ever had to explain to Cam Akers what LimeWire is?
Look, I wouldn't even begin to try to explain to them what it meant to actually have to steal some music. Okay, these guys got it so easy, it's unbelievable. They got more playlists than you'd ever freaking. I mean, we used to have to get on there and figure out every way possible just to burn some stuff on a CD. Yeah. See if I get 10 good songs of my favorite. I mean, can you imagine explaining them what burning a CD is?
Okay, well, tell me, did you burn any CDs when you were in high school? And if so, what music were you putting on your CDs?
You have one of those CD organizers in the car?
Look, I got all the music, man. R&B, I was a big R&B guy. Love some Donnell Jones, some Anthony Hamilton, just some good old school 90s R&B. That was my jam. I love the love mixes.
Who?
I'm always, just dropping off a little CDs
the
for the
love
ladies.
Mixes, really?
Oh, yeah.
So you definitely made mixtapes for.
Come on, Ginuwine. My
no,
pony.
wait. I want to hear. I want to hear more about this. Wait a minute. You were a guy roaming around, dropping off love CDs all over the universe.
Well, I think that might be an exaggeration, but I was, you make a little CD and put it in your car when you pick the girl up, that kind of deal. It, set the mood a little bit.
Did you put her? You wrote her name on it with a Sharpie and like some hearts, maybe a couple stars. No, hearts?
That was a little more committal than I was ready for.
Just a two from, so like to Lisa from Andrew.
With the Ginuwine,
I love it,
sensual.
Oh, yeah.
So. Anxious.
Got to.
Sensual. No, you really. A
little Juvenile slow motion. Come on now. Hey, that can't set the mood. What doesn't?
I want to ask you some rapid fire questions. Give me a guy during your career, just off the top of your head, you were jolted by his strength. You were like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that to be quite so strong.
Well, I think one of the things that really, honestly, to your question, was probably the most beneficial to me in my career, really helped me develop as a great player, is that, I played against James Harrison and Terrell Suggs, twice a year, both of them being in my division in Cincinnati. So when you talked about leverage and power and explosion, the guys that just was unbelievable to watch what they could do on film week in and week out. I got to train by playing those guys every year, and that was a battle, playing in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, playing those guys at home, a lot of divisions on the line in those games. So, for me, that was an awesome thing, because when I would go outside the division and face a guy, even if a guy was a good athlete, just for me, like the general power they played with was nothing compared to James Harrison and a Terrell Suggs when those guys were in their prime. I mean, when James was in his prime years, I don't know if many edge guys have ever been as dominant in the run and pass as he was, because that was the cool thing with those two guys, is they weren't just pass rushers. They dominated the football game every snap. And so you were in for an all-out war for 60, 70 plays, different than maybe some of these guys you see now that what I would call they're sack monsters. They get a lot of sacks, but I wouldn't say they really play the run and play the totality of the game as much as other guys.
James Harrison seems scary to us. Was he talkative with you? Did he have anything to say?
What's pretty crazy is I think we played each other, 12 times or something more than that, through 12, probably 11 seasons, and except for one, he was with us. So probably almost 20 times we faced each other, actually. And I think that we maybe spoke 4 words to each other in those. I mean, outside of a little dab up after the game, like good game, I think in game there might have been like 5 words. And I'm pretty sure the 5 words were the one time he bull rushed me in like a Monday Night Football game and told me he was going to break my face. And that was it. That was really the only comment. I was like, and my comment back was like, thank you. Like, great.
What do you mean? So he gave
what do you say to that? Like, awesome. Okay.
But that's the begrudging respect, though, like that you would give him the respect now that it at the end that you would say, that dude was a monster, a beast, and all he had to say is 5 words of "I'm gonna break your face." That's almost like him giving you begrudging respect of the highest order, is it not?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Well, and I was a big man, so for me, it's like, hey, if you're gonna choose to run into me because you want to break my face instead of getting to the quarterback, I'm all for that. As I teach young tackles all the time, they're the ones that have to get back there. I don't. So however they want to go back there, that's fine with me. If they want to slow themselves down by running through me, I'm all good with that.
What is the comment, Andrew, that you get most often walking around among normal-sized human beings, just walking around? Are people always saying to you in a way that's annoying, good God, man, you are just so big?
Yeah, you know what? I don't mind that as much. Like, it's like the people who kind of make those comments, it's like, I get it. Like, look, it's awkward for me too. I feel like I'm leaning over to talk to you. And, it's like, I expect those comments because obviously I'm a big human. It's more the people that try to come up with like a funny, like, order this guy 7 steaks, or like, it's like, okay, man, like, great, that's real funny. Like, why don't we order you a half a steak? How about that? Like, so, it's one of those things. I remember I pulled up to a golf course about 2 years ago in my golf cart, and this guy like makes a comment like, man, I'm surprised you can fit in that golf cart, a little smaller guy. And he's carrying a big driver. And so he says like, man, I'm surprised you can fit in that golf cart. And I just stood up, I looked at him and I go, man, I'm surprised you can swing that golf cart. He was just like blown away, like, wow, that was rude. And I was like, no, you just said the same thing to me.
I love that.
I wish you'd gone over there and just hit him in the ear with one of your meaty hands.
Yeah, but and it's also like when you hang out with people, they start realizing how big you are. Like, even though you're friends, because like this weekend, we went to Vegas, me, Matthew, and Cooper with our wives. And we're like walking around, and Matthew and Cooper tired of people seeing us and recognizing us. And Matthew looks at me and he's just like, dude, could you just like get smaller so that we don't just stick out in every crowd that we like, Matthew, you've been with me for 6.5 months. Have you not realized this yet? I mean, I'm kind of a big guy, there's nothing I can do about it. But even like your friends, they'll be like, God dang, you're big. Like, stop being big.
You don't do Vegas though the way the 20-year-olds are doing Vegas. You guys are doing old people
sleeping by midnight
steakhouses, right?
The Win is an amazing place. They couldn't have been more disappointed in their 3 guests. Because I think we were in bed at like 10:30 most of the night. It was shameful. I mean, it was like eat a meal, fall asleep. That's basically all it was.
A bunch of old dudes just won the Super Bowl.
Nick Fang's out till 5 in the morning.
Party anymore? Your coach out party.
Dead serious. First night, they roll out the red carpet, send us to dinner. It's awesome dinner. I mean, 9:30, we're in our rooms changing. 10:15 minutes sleep. I mean, it's it was just. I mean, I was literally like, I texted the guy who helped host us. I was just like, hey man, just apologize for the Win for me. Like, this is all we got.
Sorry, we're so lame.
This is all we got, man. If they want to send us home tomorrow, I will go. I mean, whatever. I feel bad.
So you're an excellent golfer. You're a champion tennis player, which would shock.
That's crazy.
Would shock people. What are you doing there with your hand over your face?
That's a whole story. That's a whole other subject.
Do you have time to tell it or no?
Yeah. So when I was in college, I was up for like All-American and All-SEC, all this stuff. And our director at LSU, Michael Bonnet, the sports director, was like trying to find things to kind of build your resume. So he's asking me, hey man, is there anything like we should put in your bio that I'm not thinking of? I knew you like played baseball. I knew you were a powerlifting state champion, like football state champion in high school. Any other sports you played? And I was like, well, I mean, I played tennis growing up and I won like a local like tournament at like the local MAC or whatever, like athletic club. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So puts that in there. By the time 2 years go by college, by the time I get drafted in the NFL, it's like, I was a junior something champion. By the time 5 or 6 years go by in the NFL, I'm the state champion of Louisiana. And like now it's like I do interviews and people are like, man, what's the national champion or what was the national award you won in tennis when you were 10? I'm like, I won a 10-year-old local athletic club tennis tournament for like 10 kids to see who could eat the Bigfoot Caesar pizza. Like it wasn't something like, out of this world tennis accomplishment, right? We were swimming and eating Bigfoots. It wasn't like something that I really jumped out there and did.
I just love the idea of you rushing the net.
Oh yeah. Now look, I used my advantages. I mean, I was the tallest by far. Everybody was like up to my waist. And I just ran up to the net, and the poor little kids couldn't get it over anywhere. Nobody hit a lob shot when you're 10. So I was just murdering these kids.
We're gonna let you go. It was a delight and happy for you. You also won, and it's hard to win these. You've done good work, charitable work, because being Man of the Year, they're not just giving that to you because you're a kind man and you represent the league well. It's because your charitable work is big and it is also heartfelt. Everybody's competing for that. You're the guy who won it. I wanted you to just have a moment to celebrate winning of that award, what it means to you, and just ask you what you're proudest of. You've had an amazing career football-wise. What are you proudest of?
You know, honestly, yeah, it was an amazing night to win that award. It's something that has been a big part of my career, is my community service and trying to make sure I was a part of communities I lived in, played in, or grew up in throughout my career. Because I think anytime in life we're blessed with opportunity or given opportunity, one of the greatest things we can do with it is maybe, you know, pass it behind us a little bit and pay it forward to the next group and the next group of people that come behind us and the people who live life with us. And so for me, that was the ultimate important thing to always do throughout my career. So it was a great honor. And yeah, there's a lot to be proud of in my career, but I think mostly it's I've won a lot of games. I've been in a lot of great moments. I've won a lot of individual things, but really it's the groups. It's the men that text my phone after a game or every night, all throughout the league, that I've had a chance to mentor or be there for or befriend, you know, with all the sentiments of what I've meant to them. To me, that's the great accomplishment, that I didn't just play the game and accomplish things for myself or just my team, but whether it's all these left tackles across the NFL or other linemen I've mentored or other guys in other positions that I've kind of been there for them as they grew up in the NFL, like just being able to be a part of their lives and see them become dads and husbands and, you know, and successful in their own right. To me, that's the greatest victory, is that I've had influence on people around me throughout my time here. And that's something I think about and to me means the most to me.
So rare for someone to get the ending, if indeed this is the ending. I don't know if that's official or not. They were talking about it a lot, but to have the perspective, wisdom, and age of gratitude while doing the winning, so that you're not looking back with regret. Why didn't I enjoy that more? It was evident in your play and in the sound, the way that you're running around with the names of your teammates over your heart. Like, it was just very obvious that that was the most blissful way to experience that kind of violence, the way that you were doing it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. You know, the one thing I'll miss, if this is it, which it most likely is, you know, just playing football was fun, man. Competing, throwing your body around, out there with a bunch of people, everyone with the same goal, a bunch of different backgrounds, a bunch of different people who come from all over the place, and you got one common goal you're fighting for. That brotherhood will be so rare and something you'll have a hard time ever, you know, finding again. But it was amazing and so much fun, and I loved every moment of it.
What's the hiccup on most likely? Just nobody makes decisions right after the season because the body hurts too much?
Yeah, I mean, you want to give it time. I mean, to me, that's a, you know, in a couple weeks, I'll sit down and make an official decision of some kind. But I just, you got to get enough separation. Like Matthew and I were talking about this weekend. I mean, we're really still only, you know, it was only last weekend, it was 7 days from the game. I mean, we're still, like, technically, we could technically be playing a game, you know, on Monday night or Sunday night at that time, and you feel like you're forever from it. But the truth is now we're only a week and a half from the game. So it's like really getting a couple weeks from the game, making sure you feel, how your body feels, whether you're wanting to attack another season or not. I think you got to get a little bit of separation. I mean, unfortunately, when we have a really long season like we did, you don't have as much time, but you know, you get as much as you can away from it and see where you're at.
I think when you go to bed at 9:30 at Vegas, you know it's time.
Yeah, you know what? You're so right about this.
I've been doing that for a while. Look, I've been a dud for a long time. Okay? I got one night in me, you know. So I got to choose which night it is, and that's all I got.
He's been a dud for a while. Andrew Whitworth.
So good, man.
Good talking to you. Thank you. Going to try and hire you as our football correspondent if you do indeed
Let's
decide.
go.
Yes. We need to hear more from you. Thank you for being on with us, sir.
Yep. Thank y'all.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Andrew.